What up? Sports Interactive recently announced that Football Manager 25 is gonna be a bit different than what we're used to. And with that announcement, they also said women's football will be coming to that game. And I have an opinion on that.
Ah, shit. Here we go again.
I have seen so much shit on Twitter about the fact that women's football is coming to Football Manager, and I do not understand why people are so mad about it. Okay, hold up. Little warning before we start. This video is going to be a bit chaotic. Let's just say misogyny tends to get me a little riled up. Just a heads up. Hope you enjoy it anyway, and let's get on with it. Maybe it's different because I'm a girl and I like inclusivity, and I think women's football adds nothing but realism to that game. But apparently women should be in the kitchen, and we should now be calling it Kitchen Manager? Really? Honestly, if you would have asked me 6 months ago to share my opinion on this, I would probably not have done it, because football is sexist, and I have crippling social anxiety and a fear of rejection, which I guess also doesn't help with the speaking out part. But here I am, because I have a lot to say, and the fact that it is apparently still necessary is hurtful to me, because I mean it when I say that I do not see any reason to exclude women's football from the game. And football should be for everyone, regardless of gender, race, who you love. Football should be inclusive, but it's not, and that is not okay. So in my opinion, adding women's football just makes the game more realistic. Women's football is a part of football. It's called football too, and it is basically the same game. You can still play the game however you want and let others do the same. Just when you go talking sexist things about this being added on Twitter, you are part of a really big problem in football, and you should check yourself.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
One of the main arguments of people being against adding women's football is that at Sports Interactive, they are not taking their game version seriously, that there's not enough improvement, not enough bug fixes. But if you're saying that, you really didn't read that blog, did you? They literally said that it's going to be on a whole new engine, that it will be a sequel to Football Manager as we know it. It will be a UI, like a user interface overhaul, a shit ton of graphical changes, and women's football being added to that is just one of the headlines. This is going to sound absolutely insane, but Football Manager upgrading the game and adding women football can coexist. Crazy? I know, but it's possible, and I really believe that Sports Interactive can do both things. I think what you need to remember, if you are against this being added, is that some people do like it. Just because you don't doesn't mean that others can't or shouldn't. And you can still play the game how you want to play it. That's okay. I don't judge you if you don't want to play the women's game, because
I still love you.
This might be a shocker, but I do think that women's football cannot be compared to men's football. They are on a different level. There is very valid reasons for those two being on a different level. The football ban for the bigger part of the 1900s, for one, which happened in a lot of countries. In the UK, it lasted till 71. In Denmark, it was also banned for years, even though the unofficial women's team of Denmark won the championship in 70, 71, one of those two. They still wanted to ban it. The FIFA decided that every football bond needed to allow women's football in 72. But if you then think about how much later women's football started and how much progress was halted in that sense, then that is not really crazy that impacted the development of women's football in comparison to men's football. Not just women's football being banned hindered development, but also genetics hindered that. I mean, women and men are built different.
What?
The fact is, we are genetically not the same. And that also impacts our biomechanics. We move different than men do. Women have a higher risk of getting an ACL injury. And ACL injuries, as you know, can be career-ending. These are not exciting to have. The reason that women are more likely to sustain an ACL injury is because our knees are different. They are aligned more inwards, like a bit of an X, and that causes a lot of stress on the joint. Also, when jumping, we tend to land on our feet with our knees in extension, whereas men tend to land with their knees more flexed. So they bounce down a little bit, absorbing more of the shock on other parts of the body and not everything being like absorbed in the knees. Now, normally that won't really have much of an impact like on your daily life. But if you're playing football on any level really, which is a game that is built for men and not in any way optimized for a genetically different body, then you are gonna struggle. You are bound to play at a different level. And since there was also the football ban in the bigger part of the 1900s, research on this was like stagnated. That only started very recently. Football boots have always been designed for men, but that has caused a lot of issues with women. The Sports Engineering Journal released an article or a study at the end of 2022, which also showed that there was a correlation between women tearing their ACL more, or like more ACL injuries, because they have been wearing boots that are not optimized for the biomechanics of women. The first female, like women's football boot was only released in 2020. And Nike has only released their first one this year, which is like also one of the first big companies to release a women's football boot. And now a lot of research went into this, which I applaud, but that should have happened years ago. And then you can bring me the argument, yeah, but women's football is not as popular. But then if you realize how lack of research, but also just a lack of interest has stalled progress, then it's not really that weird that it has taken time for women's football to pick up and for there to still be a gap between men's football and women's football. I don't know whether we will be able to fully eliminate that gap, because there are, like I said, physical differences, and you can only level those out so much with different boots or like smaller goals, for instance. But I think we need to start somewhere, and the fact that it's popularizing right now only suggests that it should be in Football Manager. I really hope that you are not like one of those wet wipes on Twitter that I have been internet policing lately, because I really do not want to hear another "who the fuck cares about women's football anyway? Why are they forcing women's football on me in the game? Fuck off, seriously, it's getting so old. Like, I feel sorry for you, really, that you are living in such a sexist football bubble that you cannot have anyone else enjoy something just because you don't. Like, that must suck, being like that.
Do better.
All I want to say, I guess, is I don't care whether you decide to play the women's game in Football Manager or not. Just don't be a prick about it if you decide not to play it. Because there is people who enjoy it. And they have the right to do that. Just as you have the right to not enjoy it. And sure, you can share your opinions. But my God, the way you lot are doing it. Also, I'm saying you lot. I know that most of my bubble is like cuties. So you're probably not like that. I sure as hell hope you're not like that. But yeah, I'm not trying to change your mind on women's football. Just realize that what you're saying might hurt people. And, live and let live. Maybe, yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. Unless, like I said, you're being a sexist douchebag, then I'm coming for you.